This is Jamie Hazlett. We're going to be talking today about witness lists and what we need from you as we're preparing for your trial or your hearing. You're probably going to get an email at some point from either Amaya or Andrew, our paralegals, and they're going to ask you to put together a witness list. But this is something you can actually start doing as soon as you come on the case and as soon as you retain us. A perfect witness list is going to have several things. First of all, we need the name of any potential witness, their full legal name. We need their address, and we need their phone number. And we need those things so that we can issue subpoenas, but also so that I can call these witnesses as we get closer to trial and your hearing and prepare them or talk to them about where they need to be and when they need to be there. We also need to know whether you think they're going to need a subpoena or not, so that we can actually compel them to be present in court. You should assume that any professional witnesses, even if it's somebody you have a good relationship with, that they're going to need a subpoena for their work. So please let us know whether you think they'll need a subpoena or not. Obviously, family members and friends probably don't. They probably just need a letter from us reminding them of when they need to be there. If they do need a subpoena for work, just make sure you make a note on the witness list under their name that they will need a subpoena. And then the next thing that we really need is we might need to make a motion for telephone testimony for some of your witnesses. If they're out of town, if they're a professional witness like a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, they may not be able to get away from their practice or from their classroom, and we might need to do a motion for them to appear by phone. So if you think that any of your witnesses are not going to be able to be there in person, that's not preferable for us, but we can make it happen, and we need you to indicate that on the witness list. And then the final thing that I ask clients to put on the witness list is to list out kind of a description of how long this person has known you, under what circumstances they know you, and what they would have to say. So a good example would be, hey, they're going to tell you these good things about me, or they're going to tell you about something they observed, an incident they observed between me and my ex, or they're going to tell you what kind of a parent I am and how I go to all the parent-teacher conferences. I need that kind of a description so I know what to talk to them about when I'm preparing for your trial. Okay? So ideally, we need this witness list from you at least 2 months, a month at the very most, before your hearing or trial. If it's just a temporary hearing, then a few weeks before the hearing would be fine. So get us that list. And then a second common question I get from clients is not just what to put on the list, but who should I put on the list? So what we ask you to do in kind of coming up with who's going to be the best witnesses is to, first of all, think of character witnesses. So this would be people that can talk about you, talk about what kind of a parent you are if this is a custody matter. We really don't need these types of witnesses if your case does not involve children. If this is just a financial case where we're going to be talking about numbers, we don't need your boss or your mom or somebody in your life to say what a good person you are, okay? But when it comes to custody, these witnesses are important. So I tell people, try to limit that to 3 people. Try not to give me witnesses that have seen all the same things or would say all the same things. So good examples would be people that see you on a really regular basis, see you with your children, know what kind of a parent you are, and even might have some examples of specific trips they went on with you or things they observed you doing with the children, ways that you discipline your children, things like that would be helpful. Okay, so those character witnesses are really helpful, but try to limit it to about 3 of those because we don't have a ton of time to have those types of witnesses. The next kind of witness that we really need are professional witnesses. Especially if you're trying to prove that you've been the primary caregiver for the children, these witnesses are essential. So these would be doctors or nurses that could say that you've handled all the medical care for the children, teachers to say, hey, you're the parent that's gone to the specialized education meetings if your child has special needs, you're the parent that's gone to the parent-teacher conferences, you're the parent that's volunteered at the school for events or extracurricular activities, or even something as just as simple as you're the parent that they've seen and they've never even met the other parent. That would be a helpful witness. Some other examples of professional witnesses would be any counselors that the child has seen or children have seen, to say that, you're the one that signed them up, you're the one that's involved in their ongoing emotional care. Daycare providers, if your children aren't of school age yet or they're recently of school age, this is a helpful witness to show that you're the one that established the daycare, you're the one that did most of the drop-offs and pickups. And then, there are some other professional witnesses that we run across in kind of specialized situations. For instance, if your child has specific educational needs, they might have an occupational therapist or a speech therapist or somebody like that, a specialized medical provider. Those types of witnesses are also helpful to us. So try to list out any professionals that directly you're dealing with when you're providing educational or medical care for your child. And then kind of a third prong would be religious care. If that's something really important to your family and there's a pastor that's, mentored your children or somebody from the church, that might also be a good idea to show that you've also provided for the spiritual needs of your children. So, and then finally, kind of a third category would be any incident witnesses or witnesses about the other party. So an example would be, let's say that DHS has been involved in your lives because of the other party. That would be a very important witness for us to know about. We would need the caseworker's name, number, address, all those things I talked about before. And this is somebody you really should let us know about right away too, because we also need time to get the DHS records from DHS that would help us ask questions of that witness. So that is an example of that type of witness. Sometimes professional or family or friend witnesses can also fall in this category, but if there's anybody that would have really pertinent information about your ex because of concerns with parenting, that would be the kind of witnesses we need. Some other examples would be, let's say that your ex has gotten a lot of DUIs. Well, then we would want to know when they got those DUIs and that there were officers involved, and we'd probably want to subpoena those officers. If you and your ex ever got in a domestic violence situation and there was an officer that came out and did an arrest or told you to go to get a restraining order, that would be a really essential witness. So do your best to kind of know your situation, assess who's going to be important. If you have questions as you're going through your list about who you should include, you're more than welcome to contact us. But I just encourage people, maybe kind of go overboard, include everybody. I'm going to get that list and then I'm going to go through it, decide who I think is really going to be key and important in the time that we have, and I'll pare down the list and send out notices or subpoenas, and my staff will take care of that. A final question that I get is, once you get me this list, a lot of the time clients are really nervous because they'll start calling all of the people on the list as we get closer to the hearing or trial, and they'll start emailing me and saying, hey, you haven't talked to such and such, or I talked to them and you haven't talked to them yet. Keep in mind that I really do not contact witnesses until the week of and sometimes the day before trial or hearing. And the reason I do that is hearings do get continued, not just by the parties, but by the court. And I really don't want to have to charge you to do that several times. So I always wait until the week of, sometimes the day before, sometimes 2 days before, to call the witnesses. The other reason I do that is I really want their testimony to be fresh in their mind. If we talk 2 months before trial, then I'm not getting the most recent information about you or your children, and they're also not getting kind of a refresher on what they should talk about right before the hearing. So do not stress a lot. We always call and make those calls to the important witnesses that we need to talk to, and they will hear from me. All right, good luck in creating your witness list.